Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your Miracle Mindset Monday for this week. So remember, with our Miracle Mindset Monday, it is a generalized reading for the week. There are no personalized readings. It is a generalized reading for the week. And if you are interested in your own personalized Miracle Mindset Monday, then you are, of course, free to visit my website, awakeningmiracles.org. And while you're on awakeningmiracles.org, you can also look at all of my previous Miracle Mindset Mondays, which are on my blog, or you can look at all of my free intuitive tips that I have there to access your intuition. So let's go ahead and let's see the decks that we're going to be using for this week. So our first deck is going to be the Mystical Wisdom deck. And then we're going to be using the beautiful Frequency Tarot deck. And then we will also be taking a look at the Ask Your Guides deck. So those are the three decks that I have been guided to use for today. So let's go ahead and let's start with the Mystical Wisdom deck and see what beautiful messages we have for this week. And good morning to everyone who is joining and being here. Okay. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So as I woke up this morning, one of the messages that I heard in the form of a song was, I rise up. Now, it's a song. I don't know who sings it, but it is basically the words that I heard this morning were, I rise up, I rise unafraid. And so this first card actually goes perfect with that because it is the dolphin. And it says, don't worry, be happy. So this is our first card. It is don't worry, be happy. And I think it's really self-explanatory. We can rise up, each morning and take each day, even each moment as a brand new beginning. And we get to make the choice if we will be happy. We get to make that choice. We get to say, yes, I will, be happy. I will be joyful. And I actually heard this beautiful saying yesterday, and I believe it was from Abraham, who said, basically someone was asking a question and being like, well, I feel really bad, for feeling joy and happiness when, there might be other people suffering. And there is no amount of suffering that you can do that will ever take away the suffering of someone else. What you can do instead is be the presence of the alternative, like we've talked about before. Be that presence of joy. Be that presence of happiness. You have the ability to make that choice. You can make that choice every second, every minute. You get to make that choice. So our first two messages are really an invitation to be happy, to be joyful, and to choose that on a moment-to-moment basis. We get to choose to be the presence of the alternative, or we can choose instead to go into fear, into worry, into concern, into all of those things. We get to make that choice. Any choice that we make, worry is a state of mind, happiness is a state of mind, peace is a state of mind. They are all states of mind. Excuse me. And we have the opportunity to choose which state of mind we're going to be in. So let's see what other additional messages we have from the Mystical Wisdom deck. Goodness, okay. So really interesting, as I was closing my eyes there, what I saw was, in my mind, a peacock. And a peacock to me always means, basically shine your light. That's what it means to me. Whenever I see a peacock in my meditation or during a reading, to me a peacock really says, it's time to shine your light. It's time to be, once again, be the presence of the alternative. And I love that Spirit has actually shown us, once again, the peacock. Now, this one says, raise your standards. And what we can take from this in regards to the other two cards, raising our standards for ourselves. Being like, you know what? I'm not going to just sit here and be in worry, be in fear, be in concern. What I'm going to do is I am going to instead choose a new way of being. And as I do that, I'm going to avoid, now this says the 7 deadly sins, humanity's destructive traits. And I think that's absolutely beautiful, because actually what it's telling us is any situation that we may find ourselves in our current situation with the whole, quarantine, our current situation with, anything really. And we can ask, instead of using it for our destruction, we can use it for the coming of our peace. But we have to ask for that. Once again, it's a choice. We get to make the choice. Will I allow this situation and what my storyteller is telling me, which is, the ego, because the ego is always telling us stories of the past or telling us a story of the future. And am I going to believe that this is my destruction, or am I going to instead ask Spirit to show me how this can bring me peace, how this can bring me closer to the truth of who I am? So instead of going into, it's saying the 7 deadly sins, but instead of going into destruction, let us enter into peace. Let us make that choice today. And I really think that's the most powerful thing that we have. We have the power of decision. In the Course in Miracles, there is a lesson that says, the power of decision is my own. You have the opportunity, you have the power to make that decision. To make the decision to use any situation for peace, to make the decision that you will be happy, to make the decision that you will be joyful. You get to make those choices. No one else gets to make them for you. Regardless if you are empathic or not, you get to make that choice to observe, not absorb. So you get to make that choice. So what beautiful cards, what beautiful messages we have from the wisdom or the mystical wisdom deck. So now let's go to the frequency tarot and let's kind of see what frequencies that we can begin to embody so that we can actually do all of these wonderful, fabulous things that I just talked about. And here, this is so beautiful. I just love when Spirit just does this. And we have card number 38, moving forward. It's never about looking at the past. And it's really not about looking at the future either. That's not what moving forward means. Moving forward means to be present in the moment. We have to move forward each moment. We have that, capacity to focus on the positive. And, when people say this, they oftentimes, when they hear other people say, well, just focus on the positive, they think that, it's all foo-foo and, you're not looking at it. The way that I like to look at focusing on the positive is, yes, I see what's right in front of me. I recognize it, I see it, and I acknowledge it. Okay, whatever that situation may be. But instead of saying, oh God, this is terrible, this is awful, I can't do this. You know what? Let me take that step back. Let me ask for what the blessing is here. Not only what is the blessing, but also how is it that I can use this for the coming of my peace? So that's another thing that we have to really look at. And as we do that, we really have to listen to the call of our hearts. Listening to that heart, because the heart is always calm. It is in gratitude, because it knows that change is something that's going to happen. And it does it from, that state of, this card saying namaste, meaning the light in you recognizes the light in me. I recognize and I just surrender to the excitement of what's going to come. Instead of trying to make the decision and say, oh, this is what's going to happen. Oh my God, it's going to be terrible. No, I get to surrender that. I get to let Spirit really show me, what it is. And sometimes when we do that, we think, oh, Spirit's just in charge and I don't have free will. You have free will. You have the ability to choose to let the ego tell you the narrative or to let Spirit tell you the narrative. Who are you going to allow to tell you the narrative? So those are our messages from the Frequency Tarot, which is about being present in the moment, moving forward, and with that positive focus. Yes, we see what's right in front of us. Yes, we realize it. But instead, we ask, what is the lesson? What is the blessing? How can I use this current situation for the coming of my peace? We listen to our hearts. We listen to our hearts because our hearts bring us calm. Our hearts can bring us, into that sense of gratitude for the beautiful changes that are going to come. We see everyone as that catalyst and everything as that catalyst for change. We thank it. The light in me recognizes the light in you, that namaste. We surrender. We simply say, okay, use me, move me in all ways, and we surrender into that excitement, into joy, into happiness, instead of surrendering into, maybe discontent, maybe loneliness, maybe boredom, maybe a sense of lack or loss. So then let's go to the Ask Your Guides deck and let's see what other beautiful messages we have for this week. So let's see here. Beautiful. So our first card here is your creative guides. So what creative action can you take today? What can you really do? What creative action can you begin to work on today? Now, also interesting is we also got our warrior guides. Now, this says competition, but I really take this card more as the warrior guide just showing up and being like, you know what? I am also here. I'm also here. Now, you may be thinking a warrior guide. Well, why do I need a warrior guide? And really, it's not about fighting. And I want to make that very clear. That the warrior guide is not here to guide you and say, oh, here's a battle that you need to fight. It's actually asking you to be wise. And it's saying, really choose your battles wisely. Do you really need to fight over who does the dishes? Is that something you really need to fight over? And, instead, this is where we have that opportunity to come into the heart and we have that opportunity to say, okay, let me see how this can be used for peace, and let the warrior guide really be that guide and say, you know what, warrior guide, is this the fight that I need to really fight? And ask. The worst thing you can do is not ask. The best thing you can do, the best thing that you can do is ask. So then we have our next card, which is the shadow. So, there may be some shadows arising, but it's okay because then we're going to be able to see the truth. We're going to be able to really look into those, priorities of life. And then we're going to be able to celebrate in that unconditional love, that we are. So if we look at this as a narrative or as a story, we see that we're really asked to be creative this week. We're asked to, really look at what battle do I need to fight. As we do that, we also may come against some of our own shadows. But as we come up to those shadows, we look at the truth behind them, which then lets us really get in touch with our master teacher and really be like, okay, what's a priority here and what is not, which helps us to celebrate in joy because we are liberating ourselves from the shackles of our shadows that we have made. And we get to just come into this beautiful unconditional love for ourselves. So this week, if we really look at all of the cards, it's all about making the choice to be happy. It's all about using whatever situation that you may find yourself in. It's about allowing yourself to let Spirit tell you the narrative. It's about allowing yourself to see the light and move towards the light. You know, to be in that sense of, let me use this for my peace instead of for my destruction. So this week, really focus on that. How can I use each situation for the coming of my peace? Ask Spirit. Stop trying to figure it out yourself, because we don't know. A good majority of the time, we have no idea how we can use a situation for our peace. But Spirit does. So we have to ask, you know, and I've said it once and I'll say it again. The Course in Miracles tells us we do not ask too much. We ask far too little. Keep asking. Ask for everything. Spirit, how can I use this? You know, if something disturbs your peace, Spirit, how can I use this for the coming of my peace instead of for my destruction? Spirit, how can I move into love instead of fear? Spirit, I ask for the miracle, because that's all a miracle is. A miracle is a shift in perception from fear to love. It's about getting that different viewpoint. And so all of our cards, all of our stories that the cards have told us have all been about, excuse me, making that choice. So make the choice. You have the free will to choose love or to choose fear. Remember, when you choose fear, you're choosing nothing, because fear is the absence of love. Fear is the absence of light. So love is the only thing that's real. Light is the only thing that's real. So when you choose fear, you're choosing nothing at all. You're choosing an illusion. You're choosing a fantasy. Let's choose reality this week. So those are your messages for this week. If you are interested in your own personalized Miracle Mindset Monday, you can go visit my website, awakeningmiracles.org. And I wish you a fabulous, happy week.